Hey, what's up everyone? Back for another NBA video. We're looking at the 5-game slate for today starting at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll also be back to having an MLB video out later this afternoon. But this video we're going to be focusing on the basketball slate. So let's get started. You guys can start by hitting the like button down below. I'd really appreciate that. And subscribe if you have not already. Follow on Twitter for updates. It's at the DFS process. And we might have some updates today with a bunch of questionable tags. Brogdon's questionable. Russell Westbrook is obviously huge. If he's out, then I'm going to fire up James Harden. So you can follow me there if you want some updates. And let's get started here. At point guard, looking back at yesterday, it was a decent day for DraftKings. Made out in double ups, just missed tournaments by a couple points. And then on Fanduel, had the Ben Simmons injury and had the Gordon injury. So that kind of sucked. Probably would have been in great shape if they didn't get hurt. But can't really control that stuff. So see what we can, what today brings. Looking forward to it. I kind of like this slate. Anytime Luka's on the slate is when I've had a lot of success. So Luka Doncic 11-3 looks like another top spend up option. I like him probably more than Harden if Russ Westbrook's in. If Westbrook's out, then Harden becomes the number one pay up on the slate. And LeBron is fine at 10-5. I'm just not really been playing LeBron so far, and I don't know if that will start today. Devin Booker with one of the best shots I've seen to finish off a game, the buzzer beater. He's put the team on his back. I think he looks pretty solid. The Pacers are good defensively, but you could always play Devin Booker. He's pretty much matchup proof. And then we get Brogdon is questionable. If he is out, then we can look to like Aaron Holiday, maybe Victor Oladipo, T.J. Warren, who I kind of still like, 8,400 for him. And then Bledsoe, not interested in him. Reggie Jackson is priced up, so not really interested. Some of the value plays at point guard, you could look at whoever starts in place of Curry again, who's doubtful. You can look there, Burke or Wright. Wright looked like he might not even get into the game and then barely played, so don't really know what his minute situation is looking like. But those are some of the value plays at point guard. I think you could look at Kendrick Nunn is going to be looking really, really solid if Goran Dragic is out, just because Jimmy Butler's already out for this one, so if Goran Dragic's out, then Nunn's going to get all the point guard minutes. But right now, I'm kind of looking at Luka Doncic as a pay up. He has just been unstoppable so far. 44 minutes in that overtime game, so played 39 in regulation. Put up 84 fantasy points. It was also when Porzingis fouled out, so he got a lot of more rebounding opportunities. But Porzingis still played 27 minutes. It's not like he played nothing, so I think Luka still has that monster upside. It probably has the highest ceiling on the slate if Westbrook is in. And at 11-3, against the Clippers, people might not play him, but we just saw what Devin Booker did against them. You can have success against the Clippers, even though they're good defensively. And I think Luka at 11-3, potentially at less ownership, I will definitely sign up for that. At shooting guard, we have James Harden at 10-7. I think is fine at shooting guard at 8,300. And then I'm looking at like Oladipo at 5,500. You have not really interested in Duncan Robinson, who's up to 5,000. Shooting guard is not particularly deep, besides the couple at the top. And then for value, there's a bunch of value that you could look at. Tyler Hero. I'm not looking at DeLon Wright is 37. If he starts, maybe you could look to him, but don't really know what his minute situation is. Hero 36 looks really solid at that price tag, and especially if Goran Dragic is out again. And then you have Danny Green at 3,200. Not super exciting to play, but probably going to get like 20, 25 minutes again. I think the one guy that you could look at that might not get a lot of ownership is like Cameron Payne, who's been seeing solid minutes off the bench, like 20 minutes off the bench is decent for him. You could also look at Gary Trent, who's like 4,400, a little bit more expensive, but Payne at 3,400, you don't need much out of him. He's been seeing some backup point guard minutes for Ricky Rubio, backup shooting guard minutes too. And if he gets me 20 fantasy points at this price tag, I'll be happy because that price tag is going to allow me to pay out for Luka. It's going to allow me to pay out for a center, maybe for another stud. So I think you could definitely do worse than Payne. It gives you at least some upside. At small forward, we have Kawhi at 8,700. That's a pretty nice price tag. Now that Lou Williams is back, though, it's going to be a little bit less of like offensive responsibility for Kawhi, even though he can take over any time. I think he looks good, but I probably won't be able to get to him. T.J. Warren, I like him a little bit more just because he gives you that like higher ceiling, I would say, and the minutes for him have been much higher. 41 in regulation, 40 in regulation, 38 in a game that kind of got out of hand. So I think in the fourth quarter that game was kind of out of hand, but overall Warren has been seeing like 30. You can probably pencil him in for 38 to 40 minutes, and if Brogdon sits again, then gonna get more usage offensively. I think people are probably not going to play him, so at low ownership, TJ Warren has been unstoppable. He also only had 2 rebounds in that game against Orlando, which has been pretty rare. He's been averaging a lot more, especially now that he's playing like the 4 in the lineup, so I think he looks great at 8,400. Then we have Paul George. Not really looking at Paul George today. Yeah, Michael Porter was amazing again yesterday. Wasn't really on him, but I think I'll probably go back to him today. He's 64. Price tag only went up $200. I don't think that any of the Nuggets are going to be back. Maybe if Jamal Murray's back, but still, you could probably see heavy minutes for Michael Porter. And the position right now, small forward, isn't super, like, you don't have a lot of guys that jump off in the value range or in the 6K range. So I think Porter gives you that 50-point upside that nobody else really does in that similar price range. At power forward, we have Giannis at 11,000. You have so many spend ups on the slate. It's definitely going to be imperative that you get your spend up right. I think you're going to want to spend up for somebody. I don't see how nobody of the Giannis, Doncic, Davis, LeBron, Harden don't get you at least 65. I think one's going to at least go for 70, 75. And hopefully it's going to be Luka because that's the guy that I'm on. For power forward, you could look at like Jay Crowder, 44 for value, Kyle Kuzma, 45 for value, but I like Kelly Olynyk with Butler out. He started the last game, played 32 minutes, played 31 the game before that. He's been playing pretty solid. He's been playing better than Bam, just in terms of overall fantasy purposes. And he's been shooting a lot more. The threes have been kind of hit or miss, but you still haven't really needed him. Only made 4 field goals and still got you 41 fantasy points. He's good with getting some rebounds and especially passing for a big man. So 48 for Kelly Olynyk. This kind of game fits him at stretch 5, stretch 4 against like the Brook Lopez if he's in. Would fit him pretty nicely if they go to him. So going over to center, we have JUSUF NURKIC is 8,900. I still like him a lot. Played 29 minutes. It was in foul trouble. He got 3 fouls in like a span of 2 minutes, maybe in just 1 minute in the fourth quarter. So he had to sit for a couple minutes. But he was great. I loved him that game, and he was awesome for us. I don't know if I will get all the way up to him again today, but I think he looks really good. Then we have Porzingis is just 8,500. His price tag came down in a game that he was in foul trouble and ended up fouling out. But I think you could definitely go to Porzingis, maybe even over a guy like Nurkic if you want. Then we have DeAndre Ayton, just jumps off the page though at 7,200. That price tag is just really cheap. The minutes are always there for him, 38 minutes, unless he's in foul trouble. But 38 minutes in the last game against the Clippers was solid. It was surprising he didn't get you a double-double. He's kind of been a lock for a double-double this year, averaging 19 and 12. But against Miles Turner, Ayton also can stretch. He's been shooting some threes recently, so he can also stretch out. I'm not really worried about it, and Miles Turner has given up some big games to centers. So I think Ayton at 7,200 is going to be the guy that I really, really like. And then at guard or forward, you have 5,600 left. So you could kind of go with some value plays if you want, or you can spend up for a guy. I think I might spend up for one more person, and right now I think it's TJ Warren at 84. I just like the upside and how well he's been playing, even in a game where he also just shot unreasonably well with 13 of 17. But that's kind of been what he's been doing. Not penciling in for that, but give him a couple more rebounds, and he's probably going to get you like the similar amount of fantasy points. So, love TJ Warren again. Also, it's a revenge spot for him facing off against his former team. I think price tag is up there on him, but he's just been playing so many minutes that I think the floor is high enough and the upside is through the roof right now. So, that is all for the video for DraftKings, and now I will go over to Fanduel. Alright, on Fanduel point guard, Russell Westbrook is 96, the most expensive option. If he's in, he looks fine. I might go to Lillard over Westbrook, though. 9,200 for Lillard. Dragic is questionable. There's not a lot of point guard options today, so you might want to pay up for somebody if you can. If not, then you still got some value plays just because FanDuel is gifting you some plays, and I think the first guy that they're gifting you is probably Reggie Jackson at $4,000 without Patrick Beverley. He is gonna probably see a decent amount of minutes. I don't know if you can be super uh, you know, confident in him playing like 34, 35 now that Lou Williams is back, but Patrick Beverley played a handful, I believe, in the last game, and Lou Williams is still not going to play a full workload, I believe. So he played only 8 minutes, so not a lot, but I think enough that $4,000 Reggie Jackson can pay off. If not, then you might want to go to Aaron Holiday, just because sometimes the Clippers just are not that DFS friendly. Holidays, you can know he's going to play a lot of minutes, so I might just go Holiday over Reggie Jackson right now. A shooting guard, it's LUKA for me. 10-7, just $100 more than Harden. Unless Westbrook is out, then I would go Harden over LUKA, but LUKA gives you that like tremendous rebounding upside, the tremendous assist upside. Harden still has Westbrook who controls the ball, but for the Mavericks, it's LUKA who has the ball in his hands 90% of the time, and he's bringing it up. So I like LUKA at his price point. Then we have $6,500 for Chris Middleton. That is a tremendous bargain. $56 for Oladipo. That looks great. And then Duncan Robinson. If some of these guys are out, Duncan Robinson, Gary Trent's been seeing 34 or 35 minutes off the bench, basically starter's workload. And so he could go and be a nice value play. Small forward, we have, believe it or not, TJ Warren is now more expensive than Kawhi Leonard on small forward at Fanduel. So that is very, very surprising. Nobody saw that coming. He's 8,800. With how much of an emphasis Fanduel puts on blocks and steals and how well TJ Warren has kind of racked them up. He has 4 stocks, 7 stocks the last 2 games. He's a good defender. So you could go to him if you want. I think he looks fine. Then you have 51 for Tim Hardaway. For some value plays, you have 4,000 for Jay Crowder, 42 for Cameron Johnson. So they kind of look pretty appealing. 51 for Carmelo. So all those guys look decent, I think. Cameron Johnson at 4,200 has been playing really good minutes. He's been starting 37 minutes and 40 minutes the last 2 games. He gives you some upside. Not going to count on him going off for 40 fantasy points, but mid-20s, I'll definitely take it, and just the minutes are going to be there. Power forward, we have Davis, 10.5, looks really good. You have Kristaps, $2,000 cheaper. Then you have Michael Porter at 5,500. You have another cheap option if you want to go with Jeremy Grant, who's only 4,000. Those are the guys that kind of look good at power forward. Assuming that the Nuggets are not getting all their guys back, I think probably going to be tough to pass up on Michael Porter, just with how many minutes he's been playing and how well he's been playing. And then at center, you have JUSUF NURKIC, 9,100, DeAndre Ayton, 75, and Nikola Jokic is just 8,900. So I got to make some decisions over at center. I think those 3 look super appealing, and then you could take a shot on Kelly Olynyk if you want. Right now, everything considered, I think I'll probably just end up going with like Nurkic and 9,100 against Jokic. Nurkic has been looking amazing. Only in 29 minutes, he put up 55. Fanduel also gives you a lot more emphasis on blocks and steals, and he has 10 blocks in the first 3 games and 5 steals. And probably could have. He was on track to play like a couple more minutes, and then he got his 5th foul. So he gives you 60-point upside. Also, Jokic gives you a ton of upside, but Jokic is having to play a lot of minutes with Michael Porter, and Michael Porter has just been shocking away, and he's been taking a lot of his rebounds. So only had 4 rebounds for Jokic, and that's because Michael Porter ended up getting you 15 rebounds. So that's what's going to happen. They also have Paul Millsap, who plays a lot at the 4, so Jokic is definitely not going to just be able to gobble up every single rebound like JUSUF NURKIC is. So I like NURKIC a little bit more than Jokic, and then I think Ayton, you can play him if you want. But that's kind of it for the video. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. You can hit the like if you enjoyed, and good luck today.